A very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candid Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evan Sokinya. I'm glad that you're here with us. I'm here with the Professor Herman Manyora. Prof, how are you?
Good. Yes.
I can see the former Chief Justice David Maraga is actually on the ground trying to meet people and consult far and wide. At the same time, Fred Matiang'i is being fronted from that particular region. I understand that the Gusii leaders are saying here, look, we'll just let all of them go ahead and face it off. We are having this situation whereby there are certain people who also think that maybe Maraga would be a state project to divide the votes from that particular region. I wonder what you make of this. Let us have this conversation. Let us see if so far you're seeing any genuine candidate who is a threat to President William Ruto towards 2027.
I'm just from the University of Nairobi, and I met a friend of mine called Mosoti. And I asked Mosoti, we Kenyans want to give the Kisii the presidency. Tell us, between Maraga and Matiang'i, who do we give? Well, it's a little tricky. What I do know is that from the pool of people who say they want to become president, there must be people there who have been sent to destroy the opposition. It's part of politics. It happened in 1992. The first multi-party election after so many years. It happened thereafter. It keeps happening all the time. So I don't want to say Maraga has been sent, but who between the two has a more realistic chance? I think Matiang'i has a more realistic chance of being elected president than Maraga by far. So if Maraga is not anybody's project, they should just withdraw and support Matiang'i.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Maraga has a good name. That's what even Mosot told me. He's clean. To many people, he's untainted. I don't know that that is true, but perhaps he's clean, he's untainted. He's not corrupt. Again, according to those people, including Mosoti. But that's it. Doesn't go beyond that. So he's a good man, but doesn't go beyond being a good man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that
but Matiang'i, because Matiang'i has a name that has traction. Matiang'i has the sort of seriousness that Maraga lacks. Matiang'i has connections. And in this game, you need connections. You need a systems approach. You can't just say you want to be president. Are you connected? Do you have connections in this country? Do you have connections outside this country? Do you have friends who can raise money for you? Now, if Maraga goes to raise money, he's unlikely to get $1 billion. Matiang'i, on the other hand, can raise 20 billion from here and outside. So, if you ask me, Matiang'i has a better chance than Maraga by far.
You're saying that Matiang'i has a better chance.
So in that case now, if that is the case, and we all agree, if we all agree that's the case, then Maraga should either pull out or we conclude he's a state project.
What if he's just decided to put himself here out of his own volition? Because it's
possible. Yeah. And many people have talked about Maraga, so it's not just that he wants to put himself out there. People have talked about him. People see virtues in him. Yeah.
So we are looking at a man for whom, on the face of it, you can hardly find any fault linked to him.
Yes.
But of course, on the other hand, we're looking at also Fred Matiang'i, and a number of politicians have also weighed into this kind of conversation, and they would tell you a number of things, including the land sagas in the country, especially during the Uhuru Kenyatta administration, and of which they would link particularly to this particular individual. Now, this also brings us down to the kind of leaders whom we actually choose now. If it comes to it that we have to choose between the two, why do you think that people would then easily go for Matiang'i? Certain people, that is.
You know, Matiang'i has something unique. First, Matiang'i is a worker. Kenyans know him for being a worker. If you look at the cabinet ministers we have had in the recent past, you can only identify Matiang'i, Mutahi Kagwe, when he was in ICT, Matiang'i was also in ICT. Mutahi Kagwe when he was in health at the height of Corona. Matiang'i when he was in ICT, when he was in education. The drastic changes he brought about. Matiang'i when he was acting lands. You know, Matiang'i when he was interior, chairing cabinet subcommittees. You know, so Matiang'i, people associate Matiang'i with work. He can work.
Okay.
But you can say that about very few people in this country. Now, why that is important is that the people in this country seem to be looking for a worker. People in this country seem to be tired of politicians and with the politicians. Given a politician and a non-politician, the people will go more for a non-politician. Now, Matiang'i has a unique place because Maraga only has one thing, which is he's a virtuous person. He's an upright man. And he can do an honest job. Matiang'i, on the other hand, can work, but he's also he has rubbed his shoulders with politicians, and that has rubbed on him. So he's not just a worker, he's also a politician of sorts. So if you take just a politician, he will not serve this country. Yet if you just take an upright man like Maraga, or just a worker who doesn't have a bit of politics, he'll get a lot of challenges, and even winning the election will be difficult. So Matiang'i has that unique position.
Okay, talking about a worker here, look at the tenure of former CJ Maraga at the helm of judiciary in this country. Don't you believe that there are certain things that he did right and that may resonate well with the people, and therefore people would point and say, look, he was at this point, he did this and this, and therefore we believe that if given a chance, then he can actually deliver?
I've already said that Maraga can do an honest job. He's an upright man. That's what many people believe.
But you were talking about him being a worker, Matiang'i being a worker, and actually comparing him and Matiang'i, you're saying, look here, Matiang'i is a worker.
Yes.
You said that right. And I'm like, if that is the case, then I think that also would apply to Maraga as well.
Yes, but Maraga does not have the politics.
Okay.
The politics gives Matiang'i an edge, a clear advantage over Maraga, because Matiang'i has worked with the politicians.
Okay.
So he's also a politician, not in the sense in which the ordinary politician is. He has sufficient politics in him to make him work as a president and win that election. Because it is through the politics that you get friends. Maraga doesn't have friends. That you get networks. Maraga doesn't have the necessary networks, both local and international. Matiang'i has the network, both local and international. He has friends because he has worked with the politicians. He has occupied an office, high profile office in the land that has made him interact with who is who across the world and in this country. Maraga was just in the judiciary. You don't make friends when you're in the judiciary, you just make enemies.
So do these networks, okay, does he really need these networks, or he just needs to resonate with the people?
You do, unless we get to a point like some few countries have gotten, where they say, we are tired with politicians, we are going to give Okinyi this job. We shall give it to Manyora. If we get there, then you don't need those.
So we are not there yet.
We are not there. We could get there, but we are not there. We could get there. Remember, we have Gen Zs. If the Gen Z decide they don't want anything to do with this politician, they identify that person, and that person is Maraga. He doesn't need networks. He doesn't need money. He doesn't need anything. Yeah.
Talking about the Gen Zs here, Maraga, when he came out for the first time and spoke, he said, look, it's the young people who are pushing me to go ahead and run for the top seat in this country. And therefore, he could be seen as a project of the young people, a project of the people to a larger extent.
Yes.
And I remember the last time I had a conversation with you here on who could possibly unseat President William Ruto. You told me here that a people's candidate who would actually come out. And therefore, once people decide that we are rallying behind this particular individual, then that will be it.
That be it.
Don't you then think that maybe if Maraga said so, that it is the people who pushed him to that level?
Yeah. That's what I'm
Has
saying.
he positioned himself as a
If
people's candidate then?
2027 belongs to the people, then that person they choose will be the president of Kenya. Yeah, it can be Maraga. Remember also, Matiang'i has been mentioned, in fact, more times than Maraga, by the same constituents of Gen Zs. People have mentioned Matiang'i much more than they have mentioned Maraga. There is some Tata, don't forget. So, if you are looking at the possibility of a people candidate, then you look at Maraga, you look at Mtata, you look at Matiang'i.
Yes.
Yeah. Those three seem to fit the definition of a people candidate.
Okay.
Because the rest are now just ordinary politicians. Yeah.
What role does being a member of the Jubilee Party and also an ally of former President Uhuru Kenyatta actually play in Matiang'i's bid at this point, if you relate that with the other candidates?
You know, Uhuru is an institution. Uhuru is a Kenyatta. And the Kenyatta is just not a name, it's an institution. So if the institution backs you, it counts for a lot. And I know in the comments people are going to say he backed Raila. You know, that's how people cheapen serious discussions. You cannot wish away the Kenyattas. Nobody can. Yeah. Sometimes things, maybe one sack of election, people even, a Kenyatta can stand and lose elections, MP. But the overall thing remains that this is an institution. So the backing of Kenyatta comes with a big name, with a big constituency. It also comes with serious financial support. Yeah. And also you benefit from their network of friends, from their contacts.
So far, would people be wrong to conclude that maybe Matiang'i is a Uhuru Kenyatta project?
But in politics, people are always projects of sorts. Even if it's Maraga, it will be our people. It will be the people's project. Matiang'i can also be the people's project. And Kalonzo can be the people's project. Kalonzo can be Gachagua's project. So I always find that a cheap way of looking at politics. That someone is a project. Who is not a project? If because the strongest candidate today in the opposition is Kalonzo. What makes him strong? What makes Kalonzo strong?
Why are you saying that the strongest person in...
For now, yes, we know this country. If you look at the candidates today, the strongest, if elections were called today, the strongest candidate is Kalonzo Musyoka. And what makes him strong? It's Gachagua.
Okay.
The Gachagua connection. So is he Gachagua's project? So let's not look at candidates in terms of being projects. But let's just know that it is possible for either camp to plant the people in the opposite camp. There will be people planted by Ruto in the Kalonzo camp, in the Gachagua camp. Obvious. And that's how politics works, especially in this part of the world. Yeah.
So for you right now, if you look at it in terms of the race towards 2027, of course, we've seen Matiang'i here. You've also told me here that the strongest face of the opposition so far, the strongest person here is Kalonzo Musyoka.
Yes.
Who do you actually look at as somebody who is actually posing the biggest threat to President William Ruto?
That threat is yet to materialize. Is yet to crystallize. There is a potential. We used to be taught about potential energy and the real energy. There is potential to remove Ruto, which means there's potential opposition. That opposition must move to the next level where they crystallize into a really threat that can take on Ruto and defeat him. Yeah.
Now, if Kalonzo is here, of course, the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is also within the opposition right now. And you're saying that these people are actually serious enough and want to unseat President William Ruto. Why did we see a situation whereby Rigathi Gachagua still decided to go the other side and try to woo Raila on the other side? And yet Kalonzo is there, Matiang'i is there, all these other individuals are there, and they can actually rally together and take him out of that particular seat in 2027.
I haven't understood your question.
My question is this. Kalonzo is here, Matiang'i is here. All these people are very strong individuals and strong personalities. Yes. Why Raila?
Why Raila?
Yeah, why would the opposition still go ahead? You remember back then when former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was like, come, let's work together, and at least this time round we can make you the president. Do you think that they may not actually believe that there could be some better and stronger candidate from the opposition side? That is why they opted to call Raila on board?
You see, Raila is in a class of his own. You know, none of these politicians is fit to untie the sandals of Raila Odinga. None of them. None of them has so far achieved the stature of Raila Odinga.
Okay.
You know, Raila Odinga is larger than life. You could be large. You could be big. But Raila is not big. Raila is a monument. Raila is an institution. Raila is larger than life. Raila is a spirit. So you can be anything, but you can't be like Raila for now. And that's why I keep telling politicians who want to unseat Ruto, don't try to be like Raila, because you will not be like Raila. Develop strategies that are different from Raila's strategies. For example, no politician in this country can command an eighth of the crowds Raila commands. No politician, the president included, has the sort of power Raila has in this country. Not even Ruto has that power. So if you want to replace Raila, you must craft strategies that take cognizance of your shortfall, of your weaknesses, of your inability to be like Raila. So if you want to move the people through crowds and mobilization, you'll fail. Because when you start in Nairobi and Raila does it for Ruto, then you just collapse. If you think you'll mobilize Nairobi, then Raila stands. Raila can even stand to spoil for the opposition.
Okay.
In the interest of Ruto. If he thinks telling people to vote for Ruto is difficult, he can stand. Not with the intention of winning. He can stand to spoil for Kalonzo and the rest. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, anybody trying to play Kenyan politics in the way Raila plays and hoping to replace Raila is daydreaming. Because they will not. Yeah. So removing Ruto from power, you cannot walk the path Raila has walked. Not so much that Raila never became president. No. But you will not even achieve what he achieved. Because Raila always won. You will not win.
Okay.
Because Raila would win, but he would not become president. Is that right? Those ones, leave alone becoming president, even winning, they will not win. If they try to do it the way Raila was doing it. Raila's game is different. You must craft your own game.
Okay. So the intention of all these people is to make sure that President, whether it's Maraga, whether it's Matiang'i, Kalonzo, all of them, the intention would be to ultimately unseat President William Ruto. And you're saying that with Raila on the other side, it would be much easier for them.
Much easier for them to
much easier for them to unseat the president. If at all, Raila would be on their side, that is.
If Raila was on the side of Ruto or
no, on their side.
If Raila came on their side,
yes,
as a candidate or as somebody to support them?
Maybe support or not. Okay, back then it was, Gachagua was telling him to come as a candidate.
If Raila came as a candidate, he will win in the morning.
Okay. So it will be easier for them. Now, finally, as we wind up this conversation about all these presidential aspirants, President William...
And I've talked to all these politicians, all of them, almost all of them, and they are all agreed. If Raila came, they will leave it for him.
Okay.
Because he will win. And he will win it for them.
Na mtu alikuwa anasema umeanza ikaya zako za bunwasi.
Hakuna shida.
Okay, as we conclude this conversation, Prof, President William Ruto is saying, look, I've looked around and I haven't seen anybody worth the salt to come and face me.
But that's what everybody says.
So do you also buy that kind of...
No, that's what every politician says.
But you've just told me here that, look, you've looked at the opposition side and you've not seen anybody strong enough.
But you see, that is looking at life in permanence. Life is not, there's nothing permanent in life.
Okay.
No situation is permanent. So if you allow what is happening today to influence your decisions for tomorrow, then you're actually stupid. You can look today, like I've said myself, as of now, the opposition is yet to craft a strategy to beat Ruto. That's a fact. Who tells you they will not do it tomorrow? So to conclude that they will be like that until 2027 is to be naive.
Okay.
Politically naive. Because who tells you they are sleeping?
Okay. Do you think the likes of former CJ Maraga should actually go ahead and join the opposition fully, so that they come up with one formidable candidate, and therefore that would actually boost...
It depends on their interest and their desire. If your desire is to change this country, if your desire is to remove Ruto from power, then you come together and let the people of Kenya help you get one of you to become president.
Okay.
Yeah. But if that was not your desire, if that was not your interest, or worse still, if you are somebody's project.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. We are keeping tabs on everything that is taking place in the country. Is it Matiang'i, Maraga, Kalonzo, or whoever from the opposition that will actually face President William Ruto and successfully or unsuccessfully unseat him in 2027? Let's wait and see. Till then, have yourself a lovely day. You can weigh in and tell us what you actually think. My name is Evans. Okay.